Tiffany and Shelby, nice to see both of you back. And I know you've been hustling and breaking news, so let me first start with Tiffany. Tiffany, what happened with this Patrick Corrigan? Who is he? He's a man who has certainly caught your attention.
Absolutely, and he caught Acorn's attention as well. Last night, we received an email from a woman who, their family owns a couple of properties. They're all vacant, and yet there were a lot of Obama campaign Get Out the Vote volunteers who were knocking on the door asking for a Patrick Corrigan and a Susan Strover. They don't live there. They never lived there. So we went up to investigate, and when we talked to the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections official, he said, you know what, Acorn registered him in April. His registration came back unturned, and basically his name is flagged, but he never lived there. And the family is just so frustrated and furious that this happened to them.
There's no record that he voted, is that right?
He didn't vote, but he was registered, and they just feel that their property was taken advantage of, and their biggest concern is basically, how did Acorn know that their address was vacant? How did they get their address in the first place and then know to use it that no one else was living there?
All right, I take it you're going to follow up on that one dig a little deeper on that one, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Shelby, now let's talk about Amy Little. What happened to her?
Amy Little is a member of Vote Today Ohio. It's a grassroots organization we've been covering, very similar to Vote From Home. They focused on Ohio. They came here to the state to get out the vote. And some of the members of that group, including Amy Little, registered and voted from their headquarters in Ohio. And this group's registrations and ballots were flagged by the Board of Elections, and they were all delivered a letter giving them an opportunity to withdraw their ballots and basically admit that they weren't residents. As of 5 minutes ago, they have not withdrawn their ballots. They're standing by their votes. But the breaking news here is that Amy Little, who was an advisor to New York Congressman John Hall, her contract with the campaign has been terminated. It was terminated on Tuesday. We both spoke with Susan Spear, who is the spokesperson, and she said that they terminated her contract immediately after learning about Amy Little's investigation. And
now, I did just speak with the Vote Today Ohio spokesperson who said Amy Little denies being fired. She says that she resigned of her own accord on Tuesday night. So there's a little discrepancy there as to whether she was fired or whether she resigned. But the campaign had no problem saying, no, she was terminated. They're not mincing words. They're not letting her off as just resigning. They fired her.
And they actually said, Susan Spear said that they had called her to get the facts straight, and as a result of that conversation, they terminated her from the campaign.
All right, let me find out, where does Amy Little live? She live in Ohio or some other state?
Well, no, she lives in New York, and actually when a New York Post reporter called her New York phone number last week, a child answered the phone and said, oh, no, she's in Ohio, but she'll be home on Thursday. So that was last week, a week ago from today. Now, today she is back in Ohio. When I called, she was out at Ohio State University driving students to the polls, but her voting records, her registration goes back for years and years and years, and even in this year's primaries, she voted from her New York address. So a lot ties her to New York, and only this Get Out the Vote campaign ties her to Ohio.
All right, but let me just get this straight. Let me just answer yes or no. Did she vote in Ohio?
Yes.
Okay, and yet she's got this thing in New York where it sounds like that's where her residence is. And today she is driving people on behalf of whom to the polls?
Vote Today Ohio is the grassroots organization she's a part of.
And it's a progressive organization, and it's all for Obama.
All right, so, but that's different from Vote Today Ohio.
No, it is Vote Today Ohio.
It is Vote Today. It's different from Vote From Home.
She's been fired by the congresswoman is what I mean.
Yes.
All right, but she still works for Vote Today Ohio.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, good. Well, I assume you'll follow up on that one as well. Thank you both, and we'll have you back soon. See you.
All right, Thank you, Greta.